Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Band Together Leadership. My name is Paul Everts. I'm your host. Please contact me on my email address, BAND, band together, or go to our website, our handsome website, as I like to say, conductingmylife.com. Go to the curriculum tab. You'll see I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. I'm a certificated speaker, trainer, and coach using John Maxwell material. John Maxwell is an award-winning New York Times bestselling author. I love him. He has meant a lot to me for 25, almost 30 years now, and it's a pleasure to serve him by serving you. So if you have a group, profit, nonprofit, public, private, you want individual lessons, let's do it. He has a great new parenting family curriculum that I'm getting into, and that's where this book comes from, Breakthrough Parenting. We are going to go chapter by chapter. I'm not going to bore you, but I can read pretty well. Also, look at our YouTube channel. We have a Grandpa Story Hour, which is taken off. I mean, I'm really touched by that. And there's some other leadership things that we have done on the YouTube channel. I also have a blog at theconductingmylife.com. So, doing what I can. I'm a 57-year-old retired high school music teacher, live in Roseville, California. You're in my man cave right now. And I do this because I still want to help people. And I love helping people. So if you need help, let me know. All right? We're going to be on each chapter pretty much is a breakthrough. And so now we are on breakthrough number 2, which is find your child's bent before you get bent out of shape. So the potential breakthrough for the parent, the potential breakthrough is genuine understanding of the child. The potential breakthrough for the child, a strong sense of identity. And we've heard that word a lot in the last 3 to 5 to 6 years, identity. So before they got married, Margaret and Dr. Maxwell talked a lot about having children and their plans for their children. He especially remembers one conversation. They were sitting in his father's car in front of Margaret's house one evening. As they talked, Dr. Maxwell told her about the things he wanted to do with their kids. Play ball, go to their games, help them become good leaders, lead them to Christ, have them read the outstanding books that his dad had read to him, and he went on. Then Margaret said, "But what if they aren't interested in sports, John? What if they don't like the same things you like?" And Dr. Maxwell answered, "That's easy. We'll just teach them. If we provide them with the right home environment, they'll turn out just like us." Back then, Margaret and Dr. Maxwell were environmentalists, not like Jacques Cousteau or the people trying to save the rainforest, but environmentalists when it came to child rearing. They believed surroundings were more important to the way a child turned out than any other factor. They believed they could be given any children, and if they raised them in the home environment, the children would turn out exactly like them. He had strong opinions about how kids should be raised. He had 24 theories about it. Then God humbled Dr. Maxwell by giving him children of his own. And now he has 2 children and no theories. So there's a great discovery. Their daughter Elizabeth wasn't with us for them long before they made their first great discovery. Elizabeth was going to be different from them. While Margaret and Dr. Maxwell like spending time with others, Elizabeth enjoys time alone. They're doers who enjoy constant activity. Elizabeth, on the other hand, enjoys downtime when she can think and regroup. To tell you the truth, at first they thought something was wrong with Elizabeth and they wanted to fix her. But then they discovered a book that changed their thinking. It's called Personality Plus by Florence Littauer, Littauer. In it, Florence teaches there are 4 basic personality types. Sanguine, desires fun. Melancholy, desires perfection. Introverted, task-oriented. Phlegmatic, desires peace. And choleric, desires power or control, is strong-willed. So people generally fall into one of those personality types, or they have a blend of 2 types. Dr. Maxwell and Margaret discovered that they are both blends of choleric. He's choleric sanguine, and she's choleric melancholy. Elizabeth, on the other hand, is phlegmatic melancholy. Elizabeth's thinking and actions will always differ from ours or theirs in many ways. That was a major discovery for Dr. Maxwell and his wife Margaret. They realized she wasn't wrong. She was just different. And that is such a great statement. Elizabeth wasn't wrong. She was different. And that's okay. So train them up in the way they should go. Train a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not turn from it. And again, not to make you cringe, that's Proverbs 22, verse 6. Before the Maxwells fully appreciate Elizabeth's differences, they tended to look at that verse the way most people do. They thought it meant train a child in the right way. Well, you're going to have to figure out what the right way is. So their responsibility as parents is to recognize a child's bent, the way the child should go, and then help the child along by encouraging and training the child according to their makeup and their potential. So forget treating your children the same. No. They're different. They're different than you. They're different from one another. They're certainly different from their cousins. You need to treat them as individuals. Find out what their strengths are and go for it. All right? If you have more than one child at home, resist the temptation to treat them the same. So you need to discover your child's bent. There are 2 stages in training your children in the way they should go. The first is discovery. Once you've recognized that your children are different from you, you must purpose to discover who they really are. So as Dr. Maxwell began to write this chapter, he thought about the wonderful job his parents did with him. Larry, Trish, and he became conscious of their gifts and interests early on. While they were still in grammar school, they all knew what they wanted to do with their lives. Dr. Maxwell asked his mom how she discovered their bents, and she said the following. Number 1, prayer. So they would, on the first Sunday after they were born, Mom and Dad dedicated each of us to God. She claimed the promise of James chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. Isn't that cool? If you've never asked God to give you wisdom in understanding your children, maybe you should take the time and do it now. So look to a higher being. Look to something bigger than you. I know for some of you right now, you probably just turned me off, and I'm sorry that you did that because you're going to miss some other good stuff. Observations number 2. Mom's second step in discovering her children's bents were observation. Mom was always watching them and learning from it. She watched to see what we liked, her children, what her children liked, what their successes were, what they failed, how they interacted with one another, how they behaved when they were alone. You name it. So again, observation, pay attention to what your children are doing. And you know what? Frankly, that's hard. You know, and again, I'm not talking down to you. You have so many distractions right now. You have the phone, you have the computer, you have many things. Remember, I'm checking right now. This book was published 1996. That's the copyright. Almost 30 years ago. So think about everything that's been invented 30 years, and those distractions are amazing. And then listening. The final key to discovering your child's bent is listening. Dr. Maxwell's mother was especially strong in this area. In fact, when Dr. Maxwell's dad was president of Circleville Bible College and Mom was the librarian, she was like an on-campus mother to dozens of girls at the school. The girls used to talk to her for hours. And when we were kids growing up, Dr. Maxwell's mom always had time to listen to him and his family, brother. Most parents today don't listen to their children as they could. So this is 1996. The parents' busyness and a preoccupation with other things prevent them from giving their children the time they need. And that's 1996. That's way before cell phones, right? That's probably right when desktop computers are starting to be a thing. My God, Dr. Dobson, James Dobson, he says parental Insensitivity is the number one reason for the causes of an unhappy home. Discipline, the other half of developing your child's bent. Once you've found it, the real question is what you're going to do about it. And that means discipline. The discipline of finding and following through on ways to develop that bent. So a child's growth depends on three things. And this will be the last thing we do because this chapter is pretty long and I want to break it into two. Okay, it's the last thing we're going to do here. So here are the three. Exposure. To help a child develop a bent, you must expose him or her to new experiences based on what you've observed, even when an activity isn't something the child wants to pursue. In the long run, it can still be positive for overall growth, and if it's something that takes, that's even better. Number 2, sacrifice. The second element in developing a child's bent is sacrifice. The concept of sacrifice is not popular today. 1996. People seek security, not sacrifice. And do you know what that's like now for your children with Instagram and social media? It's exponential now. People seek security, not sacrifice. But the truth is that there's no success. There's no success without sacrifice. What are you willing to give up to see your child go up? Developing your child's bent will probably cost you money. It'll cost you time. It may mean giving up some of your hopes and dreams in order to further hers. And that's one of the things, I'm not bragging, that's one of the things I did for my son, our son, PJ, and our daughter, Katie. There are certain things I had to give up. Have no regrets for giving up anything because they're so awesome right now. PJ's going to be 29 here, or he is 29. Katie's going to be 27. I love them dearly. And I'm so glad I did what I did to get them to be who they are. They're awesome. Okay, we're almost done because it's 12 minutes. So no matter how old your children are, you need to ask yourself what you're willing to give up so they can go up. Each child is different, and the bent of one may require something different from the bent of another. So you need to ask yourself, what percentage of your budget are you willing to dedicate to developing your child's bent? How many hours a week of your free time will you cheerfully sacrifice to develop your child's potential? And there are 3 more bullet points, but you need to buy the book, and I don't want Dr. Maxwell to get mad at me. Buy the book. And then number 3, focus on the child's interests, not yours. Development of a child's bent requires that we become willing to change our focus. It is natural for us to want our children to be interested in the same things that interest us. And when that happens, it can be boundless joy. But our goal should be to focus on their interests, not ours. Okay? So that's the last thing. We'll go back next week. We'll come back next week or the week after. The missing link in parenting, what every child needs, regardless of bent. Learning from the prodigal's father, no guarantees. Seeing the differences between you and your child. And then we'll go on to breakthrough number 3. Thanks a lot for taking 14 minutes of your time. Again, it's a great book, Breakthrough Parenting by John Maxwell. I always like to end with seek first to understand, to be understood. Begin with the end in mind. Every choice you make is yours. So think about your child. You know, when they are out of your house, that's the end. So begin with that in mind and find people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Share this video. Let's go. Let's help each other be better parents, better families, better country. Love you. God bless. Bye.